Welcome to Ducks on the Pod, a baseball podcast with your hosts, Matt Welker and Jake Mosley.
Welcome back, everybody. Tokyo is here and gone. Jake, you're the worst team in the MLB. I just got to say it.
Yeah, that was ugly, wasn't it?
Yeah. So games were at 6 a.m. It was a little tough to watch. I barely watched any of the one today for various reasons. But yesterday I watched pretty much the entire game. I thought, at least initially, that the Cubs looked really good, and then all of a sudden just stunk. Well, I shouldn't even say really good because
Yeah, we stunk. We just
your
stunk.
top 5 hitters had 1 hit, no walks. But I don't know. I guess the Amaya double. I stopped watching like the second or the top of the second, I think, and that's right when Amaya hit that double. But I mean, you got out hitting. Oh, you didn't get out hit in the second game, but 7 hits each from the Dodgers in each game. You went 3 and 8 on hits. But we'll kind of run down the first game real quick. No scoring until the second inning. When Dansby hit a nice little single, and then Amaya hit a kind of smoked double to knock him in. And then top of the 5th, we had just a kind of a breakdown, I'd say, of Ben Brown a little bit. He did pick it up a little bit better, but started giving up some runs on you.
Yeah, he just got outclassed there. Like, the Dodgers are a different weight class than the Cubs in general. Ben Brown, a young pitcher, he looked scared. Like, his stuff looked good. He looked terrified.
Yeah, he got it. He got a 4-pitch strikeout to start, and then a 5-pitch walk, single, force out that scored a run, and then a single to Will Smith. Which Will Smith, what a series! But
that was a really good at bat, by the way. I don't know if you watched
the Will
that
Smith
live.
one.
Yeah, like
I'm fairly certain that's when I tweeted Will Smith is good at baseball.
I didn't even see that you tweeted that, but yeah, that's right when Ben Brown looked like he got some of the nerves out after getting rocked around a little bit, as you mentioned. And Will Smith dug out a curveball, and the second one he saw in that bat, able to lift it in the air weakly, just right over the shortstop's head. Just a good piece of hitting, really. Those are the at bats you can't get mad at necessarily. It's more of how we got there. We got there because we can't throw the ball over the plate. And when he can't throw the ball, he literally couldn't locate his fastball. He could not throw the fastball for a strike. And then they just sat curveball. So that's what happens with a young pitcher, especially in the big moment. Weird situation, weird spring training, obviously weird location, just the whole environment, plus opening day. There's a lot going on. But yeah, Ben Brown wasn't at his best. Hopefully he's better going forward.
All right. Remind me to ask you a question about something you just said. Hopefully that'll pique my brain, and I'll still remember what the hell I'm referencing. But then to wrap up this game, top of the 9th, Shohei leads off with a double, gets moved over on a ground out, and then Teo scores him in with a single. So just looking at game 1, what are your just main thoughts?
I mean, my concerns with the Cubs, small sample size. Obviously, you're going against the best team in the league. But my initial thoughts with the Cubs were we might not be able to get people out. Pitching was a concern. And I don't think our lineup is deep enough. And I think we're only talking about the first game right now. So at this point, through one game, that's exactly how I felt. We didn't really give up a whole lot of hits, only 7 hits in the game for the Dodgers, but they walked 8 times. Every single at bat that the Dodgers went up there, they were working the count. Shota went 4 innings, no hits, no runs. you would think that's a really good outing. Like, he looked okay. He walked 4 people. He was kind of dancing himself in and out of trouble.
Some of those walks, I feel like could have been either strikeouts or that specific pitch that was the walk, ball 4, was not. Like, I feel like there were some close calls.
Yeah, for sure. But if they're going to force you to come into the zone and you can't do that,
I feel like he looked
enough
good.
regular. I'm like, so I'm not worried about Shota by any means, but the Cubs pitching staff walked 8 people in game 1, gave up 7 hits.
Yeah,
that's a lot of traffic to work in and out of. And
well,
sure,
7
the
of
Dodgers
those
are
were
going to do
Shota
that
and Ben Brown, but yeah,
still, I mean, that's over 6 2/3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a little bit concerned about the ability to get good lineups out without dancing around them and really having to rely on working out of jams over and over again. Obviously, that's not a recipe for success. It'll bite you in the ass at some point, and eventually it did. Like, it felt like even though the Cubs were up 1-0 for a while, like especially while Shota was in, it felt like they were losing the game just because every at-bat the Dodgers had was a very good at-bat. They had traffic on the bases. Meanwhile, the Cubs couldn't get anything going on offense. It was just one timely hit by Amaya that kind of got a runner across initially. So it just very much felt like we got dominated, even though the score didn't really reflect that in game 1.
Yeah, and the domination almost feels worse. Obviously, we can talk about it more after game 2, but the fact that Mookie and Freddie both weren't in this lineup too.
Yeah, and we were still
that's tough.
The worst team of the 2.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were saying the MLB. I was like, all right, overreaction much?
No. I don't want like any knee-jerk reactions by any means, but like when you take the World Series favorite, you take out 2 of their best players, you get off to a 1-0 lead, you certainly hope that you feel a lot better than I was sitting there feeling, watching seemingly every Dodger just get on base and just somehow not cross the plate for a while. And then like there was 0 offense for the Cubs. 0 offense.
Yeah.
Even Happ's hit was a like chopper that went like off of the glove of the pitcher, like just a weak chopper that if they weren't playing in a dome, like on artificial turf, like it would have been a ground out to the pitcher. Like that's one of our 3 hits. Like it just wasn't inspiring. Struck out 9 times. So yeah, from the Cubs' perspective, it was a disaster in my eyes.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to game 2 real quick then, because we're trying not to make this last crazy long since we're just talking about 2 games. But what are your thoughts on your first run being scored upon? Well, the first run scored against you, and the second game being on a pass ball with no outs.
It is what it is. I mean, you can only control so much. Justin Steele got rocked in his last spring training outing before this one. Obviously, things didn't go well. Gave up 2 home runs. I'm sure you're about to go through all the runs scored, but yeah, bad outing for Justin Steele.
I'll say, please hold.
Go ahead. Just run through the breakdown, and then we can talk about it.
Hey, I'm trying to, brother.
My bad.
So then
I'm passionate. It's my team. All right.
I love it. I love it. So that on that same pass ball, moved Max Muncy to third. Kike hit a sac fly. And then next inning, Tommy Tanks, as the announcer called him, hit a very good home run, which I off the bat was like, yeah, that puppy's quiche. And then Kyle Tucker gets his first run plated. Yeah, RBI. On a walk, which may have been a 4-pitch walk, might have been a 5-pitch, I forget. But then Kike hit an absolute tank of a home run in the top of the 4th. Ian Happ singled on a sharp line drive to left fielder Michael Conforto, which I would agree it was. Carson Kelly scores to make it 5-2. And then Shohei hit a double that happened to count as a home run. And Dansby's double was real nice down the left field line to make it 6-3. Looking at box scores, Roki in his major league debut, which is kind of not fair since he did it in Japan, but whatever. I'm just kidding. It's what the MLB gave him. 3 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, 5 walks though. He was getting a little jittery out there. Did average 1K per the 3 innings. Steele did have 5K on your 4 innings, but like you already alluded to, gave up 2 home runs, and with that 5 runs. The rest of the Dodgers bullpen did great. They each gave up 1 run, but Garcia and Dreyer gave up 1 run on 2 innings each. And then Nack, Yates, and Vesia were just absolutely dominant, striking out half the batters that were faced. Then the rest of your bullpen did great. A fair amount of walks, but no runs scored, only 2 hits.
What's your definition of great?
I mean, a walk's a walk, man. If it doesn't score a run, who gives a shit?
Good as a single.
Yeah, it's fine. Especially if you're pitching to this lineup that has just stud hitters in it. You got to be a little careful. Obviously, with how good their lineup is, it's tough putting guys on base, but you fought through it in the first game of the season for these particular relievers, and everything was fine.
I'm so concerned. Cubs staff walked 7 more hitters in game 2. That's 15 walks over 2 games.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I mean, just for comparison's sake, game 1, they walked Andy Pages, the 9-hitter, twice in front of Shohei, mind you. And it's not like a pitch round situation. And then in game 2, they walked the 7, 8, and 9-hitter once again.
Yeah.
Like, you can't put people on in front of Shohei and expect that not to bite you. I'm surprised it didn't bite him more. Like, it could have been a lot uglier. I feel like both of these games, score-wise, a 3-run game, doesn't reflect how much better the Dodgers looked and prepared and ready to play versus the Cubs.
Yeah. I will say Will Smith accounted for 1/3 of your giving up walks. Like his box score doesn't look great because he went 2 for 4, but the guy had 5 walks.
Yeah, that's not too surprising to me actually, because like Max Muncy is such a low average hitter that I could see teams working around Will Smith to get to Max Muncy, especially if there's already
it's a fair
traffic on. Like, he's such a strikeout threat that I think strategically, like, Will Smith will probably have a lot of walks this year if they run this lineup out with regularity.
Yeah.
Can I tell you what my main concern is about the Cubs as a Cubs fan?
Well, I'm trying to think if we should talk about anything statistically in these first 2 games.
Well, I'm still on box score
before you move on. Okay, yeah, go on then.
Matt Shaw is third baseman, even though he should be a second baseman.
Sure is.
Already had an error.
Jake, we don't care about defense.
I understand that, but when you trade away your starting third baseman and your top third base prospect, and then take
I was about to say
a second baseman and convert him to third base as a rookie, and like he had an error right off the bat. Like, it's not his position. I'm a little bit concerned that we still have no solution at third base. Not only that, his at-bats, he looked lost.
I saw he got a hit, and it was like a glove deflection infield hit.
Yeah, Cubs had 2 of those, by the way, just in the series.
All right, well, here's my question for you. So you can continue to talk about Matt Shaw if you'd like. There were 3 guys on your team that, in order of the names I'm about to say, they had 6, 7, and 8 at-bats. Some walks thrown in there, so more plate appearances, whatever. But also 3, 3, and 4 strikeouts. That's Michael Busch, PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong, and Seiya Suzuki. Are you more worried about Matt Shaw than you are them?
Yes. Mostly because those guys have all shown that they can hit at some point. Yeah, you went up against like two very, very good starters, one of which you haven't seen. So I was expecting the Cubs to strike out quite a bit, just from the unfamiliarity. And obviously, pitching always has the upper hand right off the bat in baseball, I feel like. Part of that's weather related,
Sure.
but yeah, it's just you're getting your feet wet. You haven't had that many at bats, so I was expecting the strikeouts. So yeah, that part wasn't too much of concern. I'm more concerned with the Cubs went into the offseason with really a slight need at third base. They had a third baseman in Isaac Paredes. Probably not like a go forward solution there. He wasn't that good last year.
Let's say I can't believe you mentioned him earlier.
And they didn't turn that weakness into a strength at all. Like they tried to get Bregman, didn't work. Their backup plan was Matt Shaw, apparently, even though Matt Shaw, I think, should be the second baseman. If you want him to play, if he's the second baseman, Nico's the odd man out. They were looking to trade him this offseason. So I think they kind of botched the offseason in patching third base at all. I don't think Matt Shaw is a solution there. I think he can be a good player, just defensively he's out of place. And I don't necessarily like having a rookie play out of position.
Yeah. Well, let's try to turn this a little positive.
Okay.
Who would you say on your two games? So yes, you lost both games. It's tough picking an MVP. But who's your MVP? Is it John Birdie for going 3 for 3 today? Is it Miguel Amaya for the timely hit yesterday or 2 days? Yeah, yesterday. Is it Dansby going 2 for 6? Is it Shota having 4 good innings?
Probably Birdie. He had 3 hits.
Birdie
today.
did have a costly error in the first game.
Yeah, that double play where he threw the ball to the moon.
He should not have even thrown that ball.
No. Yeah, there's no chance
in his cup.
The thing with Birdie, though, is he's not going to be an everyday player. I think he needs to be a good fill-in utility player on the infield. I think he, over the course of his career, has shown that he can do that. He brings a little something. Obviously, he's a decent, average bat, as you saw today with the 3 hits. But also, he had a stolen base in each of the first 2 games. So
I saw that one today. I didn't see the one yesterday, but
yeah, he ran quite a bit before the rule changes. Not many people can say that. So he adds a new dimension, at least. There's value to him, and he put that on display from the get-go. So yeah, you could do without the error. I'm less worried about him because he is a second baseman. Obviously, you're not going to go mistake-free. Why I'm worried about Matt Shaw is you made an error looking like you feel uncomfortable in the position you're at, and all the eggs are in that basket. I mentioned Isaac Paredes going, and then you also traded Cam Smith, who is getting looks at potentially making an opening day roster, and they're trying him in right field to get his bat in there. Knowing you were going to move forward with the Matt Shaw plan, I would have liked to have 2 options down there if you're going to go the rookie route rather than one, and that one option is playing out of position.
Yeah. So quickly, when Nico comes back, well, first off, when does Nico come back? And secondly, does he slot straight into second? And does Birdie have a chance to play third?
I wouldn't be surprised if you see Birdie at third every now and then. I don't think they would take Matt Shaw out, though, from the everyday role, unless things go really sideways for a while, which apparently he's a really, really good hitter. He projects to be a good hitter. So I think at the plate he can probably figure it out enough to get by. But yes, Nico is back, hopefully by domestic opening day. Last report I saw. So yeah, he's close. And
How
yes,
would you
he's
feel
our
if Justin
everyday
Turner
second
played
baseman.
third?
I'd rather have Michael Busch play third.
Can he?
Probably.
I don't watch the Cubs as much as you do. You're supposed to know these things.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's been a first baseman.
You also have three guys
exclusively for
on
us,
your.
but
Yeah, you also have three guys on your bench. Well, I said Justin Turner already, but they're all just listed as infield. I don't know how much time they've even had on it, but Gage Workman and Vidal Brujan also have listed as infield. I would assume Gage Workman's more of a first baseman because he's a giant. But no, he came up as a shortstop, right?
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Never mind.
Yeah, I think he's the easy solution. The reason why I mentioned Michael Busch at third is just because you were asking about Justin Turner at third. Where like if Justin Turner is in the field, I want him at first base.
Well, and those two are a platoon, so
right.
At least
like it's a lineup that would never happen with Michael Busch at third base. I'm just saying, like, I don't want anybody, or I would take anybody at third base instead of Justin Turner at this point. Like, put him over at first and then figure out third base around that.
Yeah. All right. Although, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you want to talk Dodgers real quick? Because
wow. Great minds think alike.
Look at us. All right.
I was going to say, although you're a Cubs guy, we also have to talk Dodgers.
Yeah.
Just looking at some baseball savant stuff. It was a tale of two games, which I think is kind of funny because yesterday, I mean, Shohei went 2 for 5, but 3 of his at bats were hard hit, and he had none hard hit today, but went 1 for 3 with a home run.
Can we talk about the rest of their lineup please, before we move on? Even before we move on, can we talk about that home run?
I mean, it's not a home run. Fan touched it.
No, it was so clear on the replay that the fan made contact with the ball like 6 inches above the yellow line. However, their arms were so far outstretched, and that ball was like scraping the sky. There is like,
I just think it's crazy they called that. Yeah, they called that a home run on the field.
Yeah, so they could review it, which is one of my issues across sports.
Can they not review it if they called a double?
I don't think so. I don't know for sure, but
change that rule immediately.
Yeah.
If it's even a question, just go review it. It takes 4 seconds.
It's just like in football, right? Like when they don't know, they call something a fumble or call something a touchdown so that they can review it. I understand the principle of it. And yes, it allows you an opportunity to get it right if you truly don't know. However, there's so many cases where like it's indisputable or, I mean, this one I feel like was without a doubt not a home run. But even that, like, it sways and it is so advantageous for one side when you call something on the field and then you have to prove that didn't happen for the overturn. That's my biggest issue with replay is this, like, I honestly do think a replay across the board in all sports should be like, this is the most likely thing that happened.
Yeah.
As opposed to,
I
this
want
is
imperfection. Yeah, I want imperfection in baseball. Like, that's part of the reason baseball is so great. Like, causing balls and strikes being wrong, whatever, like the arguments about that makes baseball more exciting. Like, I want, I can't get PitchCom out of my head, but the ABS system, I want that, but I want to do it like how they're doing in spring training. We only get so many. Mm-hmm. But I do feel like questionable home runs should just be reviewed every single time. Like,
the thing is, they can do that so quick. They take forever to do it.
Yeah, but it's such a dynamic, like it's a low scoring game typically. Like, I believe that was a solo shot, and it didn't actually affect the outcome of the game. But it's like that's a run or it's not. Like, you need to just go look at it very quickly.
So two things on that. One, we have the technology. You look at soccer and VRS, immediately they know if a ball crossed the plane of the goal line. Same with offsides. Yeah. If you look in tennis, immediately they know if the ball landed in or out of bounds. We have the technology. One, use it. You're Major League Baseball. Like, you can afford it. Put it everywhere. Two, I understand this game wasn't played in an MLB stadium, but in your MLB stadiums, have some sort of buffer between the fan and the wall so fans can't interfere with home runs. Like, there's so many good ways to do that. Obviously, Wrigley has the basket. like the fans still feel like they're on the field, right? Like right up to the wall. You have a bunch of places with a very small like row of flowers or mulch or a concrete layer that separates where the fans can reach and the top of the wall, so everything is obvious. I don't know why that's not a standard across the board. And then for your foul lines, like why don't we have this laser stuff that's used in other sports that immediately tells you? I don't know why every time the manager has to go
soccer and
out,
tennis.
What's the difference
Soccer
between
and tennis
soccer,
is slightly
tennis,
different
and a foul
because
ball?
they're the length of line that you have to stare at. Like
It's a
soccer,
computer.
it's you are staring at two goals. I understand that, but there's a camera still looking at it. It's not like everything is just a 3D model and it knows exactly where everything is at all times. Like there's a camera looking at that. You can't have an entire circumference of a soccer ball with a chip on it. Like it's a camera looking at it. Same thing with tennis. They use hundreds of balls in a game. Same thing with baseball. They use hundreds of balls in a game, so you can't necessarily chip the ball.
Your camera looks at the line,
on
is
the
what
ends.
you're telling me.
Yeah, but the lines are way longer.
So?
And then if you're going to include the home run line or the yellow line that follows the home run wall, it's significantly longer. I'm not saying they couldn't do it.
It's 2025.
It's just a lot more cameras to monitor things.
It's one camera, Matt, for each line. We have cameras that can see Jupiter.
No.
In great detail.
Yeah, and they're stationary, Jake, is what I'm trying to get at. You can't move a camera like that and then get that high precision of location.
Why not? It's aimed directly down the line. It doesn't move. The line doesn't move.
Zooming still is a thing, dude.
Who cares?
It's not
we have the technology to do that.
I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying, so I'm going to move on.
You're saying that we need chips in like a moving camera that
they have to be stationary cameras.
The cameras are stationary, Matt.
Not some.
Line, looking right down the line.
You can't just look down the line like that.
Why not?
I don't know. Your voice keeps going in and out, I think, because you keep yelling. But because, dude, it's such a long line that you have to zoom. It's going to change the way the ball looks on the camera. This isn't good baseball talk. Can we please move on?
Great baseball talk, because this is ridiculous that you don't think that there's a solution for foul
There
balls.
is a solution. I'm just saying you got to get a fuck ton of cameras.
I disagree with that. You need one single camera on the right field line, single camera on the left field line. Put it in the base of the wall, right on the yellow where the foul pole starts, and look directly at home plate, straight down the line.
I still think your home run yellow line would be almost impossible.
I disagree because they do it in soccer with offsides. It's a dynamic
line, but it doesn't matter.
But it's a dynamic
once again over this
situation.
I'm over this. I'm over it.
I will take you being over it as you realizing that you're being stupid.
No. You're stupid. You stupid head. Your team's 0-2. My team hasn't even played a game yet. Fucking loser. All right. What else do you want to talk about? I'm all flustered now.
Tommy Edman still looks really, really good, even though I thought last year was a fluke of how hot he got when he went to the Dodgers after being injured. Seemed like he popped out of nowhere through 2 games. He looks like the real deal still. That home run, the power was the big thing that I thought just like kind of popped up and he caught a hot streak. That home run today was crushed off of a good pitcher, even though he wasn't at his best.
Although his average is 200, like both hits resulted in RBIs.
It's too early to like average, because
on this team, average doesn't mean dick. First off, he's not going to be hitting second when Mookie and Freddie are back, but like Shohei is going to be on all the time, especially with Tommy Edman behind him. Like I believe he got intentionally walked at one point to face Tommy Edman, so that like in this current construction of the lineup, Tommy Edman just needs to worry about being valuable and not necessarily caring about the average. He did have some hard hit balls. He's had at least 3 in the last 2 games, while pretty much everybody else on the team only had 1 each. But I already touched on it, but Will Smith was, I think, my MVP on this.
Okay.
So he only got 2 runs out of it, but 5 walks and 2 for 4 is crazy. Like, that's especially out of the catching position with a 1,528 OPS. Like, hell of a 2-game series, brother.
Yeah, he's really, really good at baseball. Has
and
been
caught
for a
all
while.
18. Like, he sure has. I'm just kind of bouncing around here. Are you like regretting it all? It's way too early to say this, but Kyle Tucker.
Yes.
Because you are regretting it.
Yeah. Why wouldn't I? I don't think he's in a big improvement over Bellinger. And all we got out of it was money for the cost of giving up 2 MLB players and a stud prospect. So, yes.
Yeah. And
I actually have plans to put together a TikTok for how stupid of a trade that was. Typically, you would think that getting one of the best players in the MLB, which is still accurate, you would think that that's a really good move for your team. In this case, I don't think it is. I don't think they improved anything. They addressed a position that they didn't have a need for. They created a even bigger positional need than they already had at third base. They got rid of like next generation stud who's getting ready to crack into the MLB before we know it. It seems like a money grab, to be honest, from the Ricketts to just unload Cody Bellinger's contract, take Kyle Tucker, and then they're not going to sign Kyle Tucker because we have prospects that play the outfield. And he's going to ask for a lot of money, and the Ricketts have shown that they are unwilling to play ball.
I could still see you guys signing him, but like, you got to do it now.
They're not going to.
I mean, obviously you don't have to do it now, but if I'm them and that's the plan, do it now. Because
I agree, but most players don't want to,
especially because you're risking that if he has an unbelievable season, that his price tag now goes up as higher than it already was.
Yeah,
all right. I have another question for you.
Hold on, he's got all the leverage.
Kyle Tucker.
Kyle Tucker has all the leverage. Yeah. He can bet on himself. Typically, players don't want to talk contract during the season. So I think if something was going to be done, it would have been done by now. And at this point, he might as well go bet on himself for the year, concentrate on baseball, and get his bag from whoever wants him.
Yeah. All right. I have a question for you as a Cubs fan. Okay. So it was pretty obvious. Like, these 2 teams were picked to play these games, I would assume, because of the Japanese breakdown on these 2 rosters.
Yeah.
And they were obviously expecting Hai-Sung Kim to also be up with the Dodgers. He got sent down, didn't play in the series. But I know he's not Japanese, but still, that region. How do you feel about these 2 games being home games for the Cubs?
Hate them. I was hoping you would ask me about that.
Every single time Shohei came up, everybody was on their phones screaming and cheering for him when he got a hit. It's obvious. His home run, by the way, like Tommy Edman's home run, he smoked it line drive. Announcer was just like, "Oh, Tommy Edman, Tommy Tanks crushes this." Kike's was an absolute fucking nuke. And they're just, "Oh, Kike, home run." And crowd was like medium. But Shohei's double that somehow went over the wall, like the fucking roof almost caved in with how loud it was. And then the announcer going, "Oh, he takes it!" Like, dog, it probably wasn't out. And if it was out by 1 foot.
Yeah.
Like, Kike's was absolutely shit on. And it was also a 3-run home run. And they just didn't say anything. Like it wasn't. It was 2-run. But they just didn't, like, there was no uproar about that. But every single time Shohei came up, even when he intentionally walked, the entire crowd booed. Yeah. I'm tired of the Mahomes glazing. Yes, he is a very good hitter. He's quite possibly the best hitter in the league. I love it, and he's from Japan. I get it. But if this just happens every single time that he comes up to the plate, even in the States, it's going to get annoying.
I'm with you on the glazing aspect. Like I am, it feels like the LeBron situation where you distance fans from the game because all you can, every time anything about baseball is mentioned, you hear Shohei. Like, yeah, he's really good at baseball.
Also, kind of
Everyone
blame
knows
Mike
that.
Trout, but
Mike Trout, not even to that degree because they weren't that good.
I'm saying for not being marketable enough. But
I see what you're saying. Yeah, but I just like it's good for the game of baseball and the fact that they have a star. But there's so many good players out there, and Shohei, I'm fine with whenever he does something great, talk about it. You'll end up talking about him a lot because he's really fucking good at baseball. My issue is when you turn on Name Your Sports Network and you're sitting there watching highlights of Shohei get walked or fly out to left field because they feel a need to show every single at bat and every single step that the guy takes. That's where it crosses the line. And like to your point, the announcers, like I get it. You're playing it up because he's the Japanese guy homering in Japan. Like I get it in this situation, but you know damn well if that happens in LA or it happens on a road game in San Francisco, it doesn't matter. You're going to get the same reaction where it's all about Shohei. Like this team is really good.
I mean, it will be slightly elevated because he's probably every kid under the age of 12's favorite player. Like I get that, and he's in Fortnite now. Like that's going to make it even worse. But like he will always have an upgraded applause, but it's just getting crazy. My biggest gripe is the broadcasters.
Yeah,
the fans.
They're towing the line.
They played in Japan, and he hit a really hard ball that went out.
It's going to get really, really, really annoying very quickly at the rate that they're continuing to gas him up. And part of that sometimes creating hate is good for the sport in a way. Like when your team feels every other team in baseball feels like they're overlooked because they don't have Shohei. Like, yeah, it adds a little bit of fire. Like that is exciting, but I don't want to only have to talk about Shohei over and over and over and over again. I get it. He's going to hit home runs. Show me the home run that he hits. I don't care about his intentional walk just because he's good at baseball. It doesn't matter to me. It's not interesting. Figure out how to grow.
It's like every single time he came up, the cameras just panned around the whole stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. Like the whole purpose, the whole reason that they're in Tokyo is to grow the game abroad. Obviously, he's a great vessel to use to promote the game abroad. However, like if you lean so far into Shohei, when Shohei's gone, you're left with nothing. Like spread the love at least a little bit. Let people watch the game. I already mentioned this in the previous podcast, but we took two of the biggest marketed teams who are both supposed to be good this year, and then we sent them to a place far enough away that it made it damn near impossible to watch. We put it on a day when most people have work. We put it at a time when the East Coast was the most advantageous time zone to watch it in, and it started at 6:10 a.m. Like this is
where you're either getting ready for work, or driving to work, or at work,
right, or sleeping. Like they make it so hard to watch, and then when you look at a highlight, all you can see is fucking Shohei. Like I want to see the game of baseball. A hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
Like I just think the whole leaning into your superstars is a good thing to a degree. It oftentimes teeters on going way too far. I think the NBA's done it with LeBron and Steph Curry. Now you're like, now what? Giannis is really good, but everything's a travel. Like it's just like it's a different weight class. And Shohei, same deal. Like it's Shohei and Aaron Judge, and after that, they don't care about a single player in the MLB. They don't try to market anybody else in the MLB. Even like nationally broadcast games and stuff. You see the same shit over and over and over and over again. No wonder people are bored of the damn sport because they're tired of watching the same players that are getting crammed down their throat 24/7 go up and walk. Good job,
Yeah.
MLB. Like, show us highlights, show us games. Like, that's your content. It's not the people. The people are great for their personality, whatever. If they're good, you'll end up showing more highlights of them naturally. You don't have to fucking force it.
Yeah.
All right.
So the only other thing I want to talk about is more about Roki Sasaki, and this can be as short or as long as we want it to be.
All right.
So obviously he didn't have the greatest debut as far as like just putting people down. I mean, you were talking about that splitter that caused you some childhood trauma. So he threw it 15. He threw it 15 out of 56 times for 26%. Which, by the way, on his splitter, he only generated 2 swings and 1 whiff. And only one of them was called for a strike, meaning his splitter was everywhere but the strike zone.
That's not unexpected, though, right? Like, he's setting up.
No, it's not necessarily supposed to be a strike, but
the lack of swings is a little bit concerning.
When 66% of the time you're throwing a 4-seamer and you had 16 swings and 3 of which were called for strikes, like that's just under, or it's just over 50% strike. Like, you got to be throwing strikes with your 4-seamer if you want to whip that splitter down for a ball to get swings, which he'll learn this. He'll be great. I have zero doubt in the man's ability. It's just, I would assume jitters came into this. I get it.
Do you throw any other pitches?
Yeah,
really?
He threw 4 sliders.
Okay, so not really.
Had 2 swings and misses. So
yeah, he got a big strikeout on a slider. But it really shows you he's primarily a 2-pitch pitcher, and a splitter is not designed to be thrown in the zone. So if you can't locate your fastball, he's really going to struggle until he can consistently throw another pitch. So if the 5 walks,
and I will say though, his
anything more than nerves, there might be some rocky starts. If he's locating the fastball, then all of a sudden your swing and misses on splitters goes way up because you have to respect the fastball. I don't think the Cubs had to respect the fastball today. He walked 5 guys. Like, they just sat there. They spit on everything. They didn't have to swing. His game plan's foiled if he can't locate the fastball, like many pitchers. So it's not unusual. It's just he can be.
And I'm not trying to dog the guy either. It's just, I understand he's going to get better, and I just wanted to point it out.
Yeah, you worry. Like,
then you look at,
you're not worried.
You look
at
all,
are you?
Yamamoto's stuff. No, not at all. You look at Yamamoto's stuff, and it's way better.
Yeah.
Which I don't need to dive into. But all right, do you have any final thoughts?
No, I'm good. I can't wait for like normal opening day, and just kind of get in the flow of
domestic
normal
opening day, as you like
domestic
to call it.
opening day. Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I hate that the Cubs are 2 home games down. They clearly are road games, so that's not an advantage at all. I think they're pandering to the Dodgers a little bit because they want to give them everything. But besides that, Tokyo,
I mean, obviously it's not a Dodgers home game, but like, the way the crowd reacted to everything Shohei, I almost said Shotei. Shout out Dave Portnoy when he called him Shotei Ohani. But like, clearly Shohei was going to bring every single person in that stadium was going to be a Shohei fan. Like, yes, they're also going to be Seiya fans. They're going to be Yamamoto, Sasaki fans, Imanaga fans, but like, Shohei's the guy.
Yeah.
At the very least, they should have split the 2, have home and home, and then in the States, you have a 2-game home and home, or one can be a 3. I don't care if you want to make that a 7-game series, but
I'm with you.
Like,
I mean, they even
the most
split the
fair
uniforms.
to have both be Cubs home games.
The Cubs were wearing away uniforms today.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, like it's stupid. Like they know that they fucked up. They don't care.
Oh, they didn't fuck up. They did exactly what they wanted to do and drive sales, and because now
Now you get
Shohei's
Ohtani in
home
LA
for 2 more times against the
and
Cubs.
they make more money probably from a game hosted in LA than they do in Chicago because Wrigley Field's
They
small.
sure do.
That's why they did it. It's not right. I know why they did it, but
It's not right.
it's not right.
You should go protest baseball headquarters.
Also, like Dodger Stadium, like what you get a bunch of tourists there. Like it's not. It can't be that good of an environment. They get in fights all the time. Like Wrigley is a blast.
I think I would disagree with that.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously,
There's probably fights at Wrigley.
Yeah, but it's a whole lot different than like killing a Giants fan type of stuff. I think that's Giants and Padres. Actually, that happened, Matt.
I don't know. Oh, I'm aware.
It's fine. I'm bitter because I'm a Cubs fan and they robbed the city of Chicago 2 games. That's very obvious.
That's why you live in Cincinnati, though.
Well, I work here, so.
All right. So if you've got nothing, if you do, feel free to interrupt me, but I've got nothing. So baseball is back. The Dodgers are 2-0. The Cubs are the worst team in the league at 0-2. We're very excited. We've got 8, I think, more days until domestic opening day, which I'm so excited about. I know I'm going to plan on going to the game. I'm hoping you're going to join me. By the game, I mean Reds. I hope you're going to join me. If not, go screw yourself. But that was talking the Tokyo series. We're very excited. This one was kind of like an emergency podcast type situation. We wanted to talk about the series before we let it go. But then NL Central, I'm planning to have released on Friday, that preview, which we do make some preview references to this series. So if you get confused by that, figure it out on your own. But we do plan on having at least one more come out before the season opens. I'm hoping to talk about maybe some bets, maybe some predictions of how the first series, it will go through all 15 series, kind of make predictions on it, even whoever the hell the White Sox play.
Interesting.
But we'll have some more fun with predictions versus previews and get to the money and the meat and potatoes.
I want to figure out where we differ the most and then place a couple bets that we can track throughout the year, just between you and me.
Yeah, we should make a series bet between the two of us.
Yeah.
Or it's like a pick 'em, like
that'd be fun.
Reds Giants, just because that's on the top of my head. But you just pick who wins the series.
Yeah,
and then you either get a W or an L.
And let's do it. Every
tiebreaker on 4 games will be total runs.
Okay. Deal.
Every series might turn out to be a lot, but we'll workshop it, figure it out.
Yeah, we can figure it out. It's 2 a week.
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
Not bad. It might not be updated.
We still are workshopping our mid-season format. So if you guys have suggestions, please let us know.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is our first time doing it too. So
I like to pick them. Also, we're in a fantasy baseball league, so might weave its way.
I'm in 2
into conversation. Are you really? Good for you.
Yeah, with the high school buddies too.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're listening right now.
Yeah, we'll sneak in some fantasy. This is both of only our second year doing fantasy, so it's not like we're experts. We'll discuss some stuff. We'll talk trades between our 2 teams live. That'd be fun.
If anything, it just lends itself to like, hey, I've been thinking about this random player for absolutely no reason other than fantasy, but let's talk about him because there's something interesting going on.
I'm still thinking about those beans. You probably don't understand that reference because you hate social media and movies.
I run your social media.
That's not true. Anyway, that was talking Tokyo. I'll be pulling a little bit more for the Cubs for the positivity of this podcast. But again, NL Central coming out Friday noonish because I haven't figured out what time those actually get released yet. And we'll have another one early next week, potentially probably the day before opening day, just to get everybody all excited and riled up.
Stay tuned, subscribe so you know when those actually come out, because by the time you're listening to this, these dates might mean nothing to you. So make sure you like, subscribe, do the whole thing.
Yeah. Check out Jake's cool deep dives on TikTok too. It's ducksonthepod.baseball.
Oh, thank you for that.
We
Little
out.
plug. See ya.
See you, everybody.